You guys make me laugh. The peer pressure in the chat to get the show going. Bravo. Kudos to you guys calling me out for being a bit tardy. And I'm a very punctual person, but the full transparency as Jeepers Creepers, Jeremy Stallman from the logo. $100 super chat. Can't even finish my first sentence. Jeremy. $100 super. I don't even know what to say right now, Jeremy Stallman. I was just finishing reading your last note, and you just took the words out of my mouth right now. 100. Jeremy Stallman making me tear up. Well, the Easter Bunny came a little late, but I want every one of you here in our Browns chat to know we will set the bar this year. We will set the bar high this year for our love of the Browns. First, thank you, Petey, for all you guys do at Chat Sports. Let's go, Browns. Hashtag 24 for Nick Chubb. Hashtag number 19 for Bernie Kosar. Shake and bake Ricky Bobby. Jeremy Stallman, big salute to you. Big ups to you. God, I keep saying it, but it just sounds more and more true. If the world was filled with Jeremy Stallmans, the world would be a better place. Jeremy Stallman is the Nick Chubb of this chat.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean,
no doubt.
If you're looking for a guy that can make the big play, but also make the smart play, that's Jeremy Stallman.
Oh,
He's a superstar.
Without a fit.
A freaking superstar. Jeremy, can I get a little two-clap action for Jeremy? A little 1-2. Jeremy, double salute to you. A double. I don't think it's ever been done before.
Never.
I love Jeremy Stallman. Thank you guys so much. Jeremy, truly, thank you so much for your support. I don't even know what to say. You continue to just shock me every single Tuesday, every single game day. I hope you're doing well. Hope your flights are going well. We'll be in contact. We'll get the right thing sorted out, my friend. Don't you worry. And Jeremy, thank you again for all of your support, dude. Gosh, Jeremy fucking Stallman. He's undefeated. He's undefeated. He truly is like 100-0. Jeremy.
Jeremy Stallman is putting in the work so other people don't have to. And he's just such a good guy.
I don't even know what to say. Jeremy, thank you so much, dude. Thank you. Joshua Miller, the $5 super chat. Who will be our biggest surprise and who will be our most disappointing player in 2024? Just the difference of super chats. We go from like Jeremy Stallman just uplifting the whole chat, and Josh like, who's gonna suck this year? I'm kidding, Josh. You always ask the best questions. We'll answer this. We'll double dip. I'll answer it in the mailbag as well, as you know probably by now. But to give you the short answer, biggest surprise. Let me go with. I want to give you a good answer, not like a basic answer. But biggest surprise, I will say. How about? No, I don't like that answer. How about? God, this is so biased of me, but I think Cedric Tillman's a good football player. I think Cedric Tillman's a good wide receiver. I'm not giving up on him after a rookie season. No. That is way too premature. I'll go with Cedric Tillman. And the most disappointing player, what about Devin Bush? Just not a playmaker. And when you're picked 10th overall, obviously that was the expectations for Pittsburgh. That's why he didn't last there very long. And I don't think he's going to be a starting caliber linebacker for the Browns. I hope they draft a linebacker and he eventually takes over that role. So, Josh, those would be my two answers for you. Jacob Kistner, the $5 super chat. Hey, Coach, a.k.a. Petey, just want you to know I'm putting in work this offseason. I'll be better than ever before for next season. Dogs got to eat. Let's go, Browns. Jacob Kistner is walking to school uphill both ways. That's the kind of guy he is, right? He's doing the Walter Payton like off-season training of he's running up sand dunes. Kistner is ready for week 1 against the Eagles in Brazil. I don't know, Jim. Maybe not. So, Jacob, I can't wait for week 1, dude. I am so pumped. So excited. Jeremy with a $5 super chat from, I think, or $2 earlier, right? Put me in, Coach. I am ready to play. That is an all-time baseball movie song. You cannot make a baseball movie without put me in, Coach. I am ready to play. Jeremy, your last, or I guess your second super chat. I think we need to sign J.K. Dobbins for a couple of reasons, even though he's coming off an injury, but that would give time for Nick Chubb, and then you have a 1-2 punch. Let me answer this question in just a second, but I do have to tell you guys about our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Spring is here, which means we have baseball to watch, along with playoff basketball and hockey soon, and you should not have to miss any of the action because of ticket prices. Game Time has some really cool features like flash deals and zone deals, along with their lowest price guaranteed. So if you are trying to catch a game, a concert, or any other event in your local area, download Game Time today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. I love that Game Time gives you a bird's eye view of your seat before you purchase your ticket, so you know what you're going to be looking at for all 4 quarters or halves or whatever it may be. Download the Game Time app. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. Create an account once you download it and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHAT SPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I put all that information because I love you guys in the comments and description of today's video. All right, we do have some fun content to get to, believe it or not, and it's not just a super chat palooza today, although with Jeremy Stallman in the chat, you can never say never. Shout out your city for me. I want to know where everyone is tuning in from before we get into our live show today. So let me know where you are watching from. Kev Dog, it is Trace Gerard here.
What up, Kev?
Who is the guy that used to super chat all the time asking, is Trace producing? Do you remember that?
Well, it was my burner account, but I can't remember who was running.
I can't remember what the name was. I'm usually very good about remembering the names, too. Jeremy's in Denver. Ty Man the Buckeyes in Ohio. Jake's in Sacramento. Cleveland is good, is in Dayton. I got Jersey Dog in South Jersey. I got Dylan watching from Mayfield Village. Josh is making dinner. I need to know what's on the menu tonight, Josh. It is leftovers in the Peterson household. And tomorrow, I'm thinking burgers. Kistner's in Toledo, as always. Deb is in Ohio. Cool Guys in Cleveland. Let me know where you are watching from. Right now, I think Jeremy, Jeremy is winning the furthest from Cleveland award at Dayton, or at Denver. Getting all the cities and states mixed up in my head here. Ask him if he is going to be on the main channel now after his one-time Easter show. What was your one-time Easter show?
I was on
NFL
yes,
Daily last
week.
I did
Thursday.
see that.
And so, yes, I will be back on it this Thursday. Tyler Jones is still out of town, so come hang out Thursday on NFL Daily with me.
Go support our guy Trace Gerard over on NFL Daily, the mothership here at Chat Sports. Okay, what is the Browns' biggest need going into the draft? Can we talk about football for a moment? Because I know we've had a lot of fun, but we should probably talk about the X's and O's here before I lose everyone. Biggest need. They don't really have a big need. I think the easy answer is wide receiver. I don't think you can say. I think you can make a good argument for all 32 teams every single year, wide receiver. Like if you really think about it, everyone always wants another one.
Needs a new receiver.
And you know why? It's because college wide receivers look so good.
Oh, no doubt.
And you're like, if that guy's even our 3 or 4, we're loaded.
Yeah.
I think every team talks themselves into a wide receiver. Pick a team right now. I'll make a case for them. Just go.
New York Jets.
Oh, my gosh. They have Garrett Wilson. And who else after that? They need a wide receiver.
Cincinnati Bengals.
They're losing T. Higgins soon. They need a wide receiver. And Tyler Boyd's a free agent. Vikings. Are you just going to roll Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison? Or are you going to have anyone after that because KJ Osborne's a free agent? They need a wide receiver. Falcons. It's just Drake London. He was literally the only wide receiver. Then they signed Darnell Mooney. Rondell Moore is the third option on that team. He is not very good. Need a wide receiver.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, Chiefs. Oh, I think they need a couple of them.
Do they need a wide receiver to win a Super Bowl?
I think
maybe with Rashee Rice.
I think they don't want to play with fire. Well, actually, I don't care what they do. They're too good at it. Every team you can make an argument.
No doubt.
Every single team.
No doubt.
I would go with linebacker. I think that's an actual spot on this team. When you think about the history of that position the last few years in Cleveland, very little stability. A lot of injuries. And, yeah, you moved on from 2 of the guys that have gotten injured, but Maybe that position is just cursed for the Browns. I don't know. But I think linebacker is an actual spot where if you take a guy at pick 54, they're going to have a role on this team this year. You pick a wide receiver at pick 54, I don't think they're going to see the field the first few games. I really don't. And I know we always think that the rookies are going to have these big productive years. Like, we're so excited, just drafted this guy who was awesome last year. And then the season rolls around, you're like, that third-round pick, I don't think he's touched the field yet. He was a healthy scratch. I'm like, whoa, forgot that there's, 53 other guys on the roster that have something to say about this rookie just waltzing in here and taking their snaps from them. Just doesn't happen the way we think it happens. It will in April. Okay, March Madness winner. Who's it going to be? Purdue, Alabama, UConn, NC State. I will make my official statement right now on Tennessee not being in here. Just say this much. They played a good game. I'm not going to be too upset about the officiating against Purdue. Zach Edey is like a cheat code in college basketball, and it's unfair, but it is what it is. When the sport itself is faultily designed to benefit, like there's just the hoop doesn't move. So if you're super tall, you're going to have an advantage in that sport. The other thing I'll add is I had a lot of friends say, like, don't worry, dude, Tennessee will be back. No, they won't. And that's just so true in college athletics. Like, Trace, Arkansas grad, when they took down Gonzaga and they lost to Duke, was it? I think they beat Duke the next round, didn't they?
They lost to Gonzaga, and then they beat Duke, and then they lost in the Elite Eight.
They lost the year they lost in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
They had taken down number 1 Gonzaga, right?
Yes. With Chet Holmgren.
To go to the Elite Eight.
Yes. And then they lost. I can't remember who they lost to, but they lost in the Elite Eight and haven't been back.
Yeah, so sometimes you're just not back.
Yeah.
And fortunately for Tennessee,
get close.
That was their best team effort.
You can get close, but doesn't mean you're going to be back.
Uh-huh. My March Madness winner, I think UConn beats Purdue by 15 points. If there's a team that can put together a good game plan for Zach Edey, it is UConn. All right, coming up on today's show, the latest news and rumors. We had a signing happen earlier today, Justin Hardy. We actually put a whole video about that out already this morning. You know I love to be the first one to it. So if you haven't watched that yet, I suggest after the live show, go watch that to kind of fill the gaps on what the Browns did to address their need at special teams. Then we're going to look at a mock draft with some trades for the Browns. And then a mailbag. We already have a couple of Super Chat questions. If you're unable to Super Chat, no harm at all. Just use hashtag Browns somewhere in your message in the live chat. That way our software can pull it and put it on screen. Let's check out Joshua Miller's $2 Super Chat. How long can we realistically keep our top 3 CBs? Dude, Josh? I think Josh was a big sit in the front row of college classroom kind of guy.
Without a doubt.
Big question guy to the professor.
He
went to office hours.
It was never, hey, professor.
Yeah.
Answer this simple question. It was, let's start a discussion amongst the whole class.
Oh, for sure. Yes, that's a good one. He was a big, like,
lecture hall, everyone's in.
That, and then, like, the 12-person English class, he was leading the fishbowl conversation.
Yes, no doubt.
Do you want 2 funny stories from college for me really quickly?
Please.
About me not being the best student possible? I waited to buy my books. I learned after a few years of college, if you buy your books before the class starts, you'll discover that the class sometimes doesn't use that book at all, and it's kind of just like added in there, but you don't really need it.
Syllabus week is done.
So wait till you finish. Wait till you actually know if you need that book before you drop $50 on it. So I did that for an English class, and I did need the book, and the book was sold out. So it was the first book of the semester. It was like an English class. We're going to read this book.
Oh, no.
So pressure was on. Made a nice friend in the class and had that nice friend send me a picture of every single page of the book as we went through the chapters.
Dude, I had somebody scan
I read the
me
book
an
on my
textbook.
phone.
I had a friend scan me their entire textbook, and I printed it into
Yeah.
a binder.
Didn't learn my lesson from that class sophomore year. Fast forward to junior, senior year. Also don't buy the book. Go to the library. Sold out, not available in the bookstore. Have to go to the downtown Knoxville Historical Center because it was my history class. was about Civil War in Knoxville.
Oh, wow.
And I would hang out there for like 4 or 5 hours on a Tuesday to read this book.
Just read the book.
Yeah, and like write my essay.
That's awesome.
And that's what I got for not buying the book when it was available.
Hey, it's a good story, though.
Yeah. Okay. Josh, to answer your question, how long can we realistically keep our three CBs together? Let's just say you pick up Greg Newsome's fifth-year option. That's about $13-ish million, FYI. We're talking 2024, 2025, and I think it's unlikely we see Greg Newsome get re-signed for 2026. Right? Martin Emerson is under contract for 2022, 3, 4, and 5. So I would say you have 2 more years of Emerson, Newsome, and Ward all being under contract and affordable for the next 2 seasons. Are we ready to jump into the show? All right, let's get into it. Although 67 people watching, 28 likes. Can we get ourselves to 30 likes? 2 more likes, and then we'll get this plane off the ground. Josh said law school books are a minimum of $125 used. Sucked so bad. I kind of forgot how much that sucked.
Yeah, dude,
buying books process.
Well, and it was never just you have to just buy the book. You also had to buy the access code to
the access code.
Online books so you could do the homework for the class.
Yeah.
That was or the clicker so you could take attendance.
Oh.
And if you lost your clicker, excuse my
Dude.
French, you're screwed.
I have reason to believe my clicker is still in my backpack right now.
I know exactly where my clicker is.
Yeah.
It's in a drawer that
And I went to class kind of guy, but I had friends that didn't, and they would just do clicker from home.
Yep.
But the professor would be like, it would be a question that only people in the room could possibly answer.
Yep.
Like, what color's my tie today?
Yep.
And that was a big no-no if you got that wrong.
We had those as well.
Mhm.
It would be what color shirt am I wearing? Or
Yeah.
What's the weather today?
All right. Enough of Trace and I doing total frat move. Are we ready to jump into a live Cleveland Browns report? God, can we close the yearbook or what? All right, let's get into it. Coming up on today's show, we're going to check out an ESPN article that outlined a perfect fit for the Browns outside of round 1 for all 32 teams, which was nice because the Browns aren't even in round 1. And then we're going to look at a mock draft roundup. So with that being said, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we are so close to reaching 34,000 subscribers. But let's get into the perfect fit for the Browns, which Matt Miller from ESPN identified as Tennessee running back Jaylen Wright. And as a Tennessee grad, I am very familiar with Jaylen Wright, so I felt like I was perfect for this job of talking about and breaking down Jaylen Wright. Now, he led Tennessee in rushing the last 2 seasons, averaged 6.6 yards per carry over that stretch. Doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires, though. He was in a committee backfield last year where he split carries with 2 other guys, so he comes into the NFL with not a ton of wear and tear, and that's something teams really like in running backs. Now, he said that he models his game after Alvin Kamara, so I thought we could look at the comparison between Jaylen Wright and Alvin Kamara at Tennessee. It's okay, Trace. So when you look at Jaylen Wright's numbers, and we'll put them on screen for you guys right now, Jaylen Wright at Tennessee the last 2 seasons, 1,800 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. Not a big receiving threat, though, and that's somewhat of a misconception. Oh, Jaylen Wright is a huge receiving target just like Alvin Kamara. No, not really. 14 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara at Tennessee, by the way, his 2 years in Knoxville, 1,200 rushing yards, 6.2 yards a carry, but a much bigger receiving option for the Volunteers and 23 touchdowns to go along with it. So Jaylen Wright, similar in his play style to Kamara as a home run type of player, not a guy that's going to make his money at the goal line in between the tackles, but someone that when he bounces it to the outside can get to the corner and has great vision for the open field. And he knows what step and what first move to make to beat the linebacker and then meet the safety. When you look at his career at Knoxville, though, he comes off a 1,000-yard season, averaging 7.4 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. But remember what I said earlier. Didn't have a ton of usage. Just 137 carries, 146 the season prior. In his entire collegiate career, 368 carries. But what I want to show you guys is a comparison of two running backs. I'm not trying to pick on Blake Corum, but he's a pretty highly touted back, and just want to show you guys some advanced stats between Wright and Corum. So last year, Wright had 136 carries for a little over 1,000 yards compared to Corum, who had 248 carries, so 100 plus more carries than Wright for 1,400 yards. Jaylen Wright had 35 rushes for 10 plus yards. Blake Corum had 36 with an extra 112 carries. So when you look at just breakaway percentage, I mean, Jaylen Wright was doing it 12% higher than Corum. So yeah, Blake Corum, when you just look at the stats, he's going to look a lot better than Jaylen Wright. But when you look a little bit deeper, I mean, you might even think Blake Corum is a better bruiser running back than Jaylen Wright. Jaylen Wright, yards after contact, 592, an average of 4.3. Blake Corum, yards after contact, sure, 832 with an extra 112 carries. But the average, full yard less, 3.3. So give me Jaylen Wright in round 3 of the draft. I'm open to going round 2 in the draft, but if he's there in round 3, this to me seems like a no-brainer. So my dream, realistic picks, because sure, there's some great players I'd love to see fall to pick 54, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it. If you can get Edgerrin Cooper in round 2 and Jaylen Wright in round 3, to me, that is a masterclass job by Andrew Berry with having no first-round pick to use and being the last team to make a selection in this year's draft. So if it went Edgerrin Cooper, then Jaylen Wright, how would you grade that? A, B, C, D, or F? I'd give it, honestly, a B to B plus grade. I don't think Jaylen Wright or Edgerrin Cooper are going to be major impact players in the first month of their NFL careers like some of the other rookies could be that go in round 1. But I think Jaylen Wright could fill a big need for Cleveland, which we'll look at in a moment. And then I've already dived in on Edgerrin Cooper a ton, but I think he satisfies the need for the Browns at linebacker, and he's all around a great football player. So for me, I would love to see these two selections be made. Obviously, it remains to be seen whether or not they'll be available when Cleveland's on the clock in rounds 2 and round 3. But if they are, Andrew Berry should be running these cards to the podium. Now, I do want to add the Nick Chubb element to this conversation, which is how do you address or maybe approach the running back question without knowing when are you going to get Nick Chubb back? Because I think if Andrew Berry knows on draft day what week he can expect to get Chubb to return, that will alter the type of running back he goes after in the draft. I don't think Jaylen Wright is ready to be a 3-down running back in the NFL. But I think Jaylen Wright paired with Nick Chubb could be a really nice selection, could make a really nice duo. So Chubb, with him being Nick Chubb and Wright being a complementary back, would be a fantastic duo. But that's predicated on Nick Chubb not missing too much time. So we'll look at what Andrew Berry had to say about this a few weeks ago at the NFL owners meeting. But first, a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Spring is here, which means we have Guardians baseball to watch, along with playoff basketball soon, along with hockey. And I don't want you guys to miss any of the action because of ticket prices. With Game Time, you can get killer last-minute deals and all-in prices for all the big events. I love that Game Time gives you a view from your seat before you purchase your tickets, so there are no surprises when you show up. Plus, hidden fees suck, but Game Time gives you an all-in price option, so you really know how much the tickets are going to cost. Download Game Time today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem that code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So I want to revisit what Andrew Berry had to say on Nick Chubb's recovery, because I think that's a major factor into what type of running back you go after in the draft. Andrew Berry, speaking at the NFL owners meeting earlier in March, said, honestly, it's probably too early to really understand what he's going to look like at the start of the season. He's doing truly doing a fantastic job with the rehab, and he should start to I beg your pardon. He should start to load run probably sometime this upcoming month. Right now, he's strengthening his quad, he's doing the rehab and everything, but it's not like he's going out and done sprints, agility drills, stuff like that. But this month, we expect that he will. So right off the bat, like you look at the last sentence there, and there's some optimism and some confidence from the Browns, which under Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry have been relatively tight-lipped. A few times they speak to the media, I mean, Berry specifically, he doesn't just keep it at one-word answers, right? He's not that stingy, but he definitely likes to keep his cards close to his chest. So for him to say, like, we expect Nick Chubb to be at this point, I think that's a really good sign for if he's progressing that well, hopefully Nick Chubb, who I don't expect to be ready for the start of the season, but maybe he won't miss too much time in the season. And in that scenario, a guy like Jaylen Wright, him and Nick Chubb together, because it's no good if you get Jaylen Wright without Nick Chubb coming back later this year. I don't think Jaylen Wright is in a spot in Cleveland where he can be an effective 3-down back. But him and Nick Chubb, that's going to be a nasty 1-2 punch. More on this from Berry, by the way. The next, call it 3 months, will be pretty telling in terms of his potential readiness for early in the season. We're going to be conservative in terms of our approach and our assessment with building the roster because he's coming off a major knee injury. But I do have to give him a lot of credit. He's done a really, really nice job. But I think we'll have a better sense. Don't hold me to it, but I think probably if you ask me that question around the draft, I may have maybe a little bit more of a specific answer. So we'll hear from Andrew Berry before the 2024 NFL Draft, which is about 3 weeks away or so. And hopefully at that point, they've got a much better idea as to when Chubb will return. But if they come to the draft with the idea of Chubb missing the first half of the season, and you think about what the Browns' needs are, which not a whole lot, like the easy answer is always get more wide receivers. Dude, Andrew Berry has gotten 5 wide receivers the last 2 years. Amari Cooper, I guess 2.5, whatever. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, David Bell. Like, part of me thinks Andrew Berry just wants to see the guys he traded for or drafted take the field before he gets more wide receivers to take those snaps away, right? I don't think wide receiver is going to be as huge of a priority at pick 54 as you might think it is. Now, if a great player slips, then Andrew Berry is always going to go the best player available route. But I don't think the answer for the Browns in the draft is take a wide receiver at 54 no matter what. I think they're going to survey all their options, which could be running back if, like Andrew Berry said, they come to the draft and they're a little bit unsure when Chubb will be ready to roll. To wrap up the show, I want to look at a mock draft roundup for you guys. Kind of keep it short and sweet here. Just run through who the big publications are predicting the Browns take. ESPN's Matt Miller had T'Vondre Sweat, a defensive tackle, go to Cleveland. NFL.com's Chad Reuter had Edgerrin Cooper, our guy from A&M, go to the Browns. CBS Sports had Malachi Corley, the Yak King, a wide receiver from Western Kentucky. The Athletic predicted TJ Tampa, cornerback out of Iowa State. And then Walter Football went with Javon Bullard, the safety/cornerback out of Georgia. If I had to grade these 5 selections here, I'd give Cooper and Corley both A grades. I think both of these players can actually fill a role on this Browns team. Cooper can walk into training camp and compete with Devin Bush for a starting job. Malachi Corley can bring something that is missing in this wide receiver room, which is a yards after catch type of player. That's not what Amari Cooper does. That's not really what Jerry Jeudy does a ton of, and that's not what Elijah Moore has done a lot of either. T'Vondre Sweat, I think, will be a solid defensive tackle. The Browns have already reloaded at that spot, but a lot of those guys are on one-year deals, so it can never hurt to replenish in the trenches and get a good player for 4 years of rookie control. Javon Bullard, the safety/DB corner out of Georgia, I think is a solid player. I just don't really see a spot for him on the Browns, right? I think their safety room is done. You've got 3 starters. You've got 5 starters, arguably. And Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill, Rodney McLeod, DeAnthony Bell, and Ronnie Hickman. All 5 of those players have shown they can start in this league. I don't really see a need to add another player at that spot with an early pick in the draft. I don't really get the TJ Tampa pick out of Iowa State. Not super high on him as a prospect to begin with. And you've got the ability to have Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and Martin Emerson all under contract for 2024 and 2025. If you want to re-up at cornerback, I think next year would be the draft to do it. Now, give me a bold take for the NFL draft. The bolder the better. Don't be afraid. Let me know what your bold take is in the comment section. I'll be giving a shout out to some of the boldest ones I see. For me, I think it's Brock Bowers falls. And it's not because he's a bad player. I just think when you look at the top 10, not a lot of them need a tight end. And there's a lot of really good wide receivers and tackles in this draft class. And that's what those teams need, right? I think Brock Bowers could be a great fit for the Titans at 7. But I think the bigger need for them is offensive line with Joe Alt. Maybe the Jets at number 10 take him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a team in the teens be a little surprised that Bowers is available. And a team like the Broncos or the Saints is like, well, we didn't really plan on going tight end, but we're not going to pass on what we think is generational tight end talent. So that's kind of my bold take for the draft. All right, off-season mode, pick a card time. Producer Trizzy Trace, which card do you want to go with?
I'm going to go with the 9 of Hearts today.
9 of Hearts? I'm going to go with the 2 of Spades.
I like it.
I don't know why. Just going 2 of Spades. What'd you say?
5 of Hearts.
Oh, no. 10 of Hearts.
Dang.
10 of Hearts. All right. That will do it for us on this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be sure to catch up with you all later. Drop a bold take for me. Bolder, the better. Josh says someone will reach for J.J. McCarthy in the top 5. That's kind of bold, and I kind of like it.
I think that's such a good take.
Ooh, Josh with another great one. Marvin Harrison will not be the first wide receiver taken.
I think Malik goes first.
Dude, some people like Malik Neighbors more than Marvin Harrison.
Malik. I don't know, man. You're going to like that. I think Marvin Harrison's better.
I think Malik Harrison is a Charger.
Marvin Harrison?
Was it Malik Harrison?
You said Malik Harrison.
Combined. I think Malik Neighbors is a Charger. I think Marvin Harrison will go to the Cardinals. I do like the take, though, but I do think Arizona will go with Marvin Harrison. He just screams the next Larry Fitzgerald for that franchise.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then I think Malik Neighbors feels a huge need for the Chargers at wide receiver after losing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And then Roma Dunze kind of go a number of spots. The Giants, the Bears.
I think Roma Dunze could fall to the mid-teens, maybe even late 20s.
Ooh.
Or early 20s.
Cool guy with a bold take. Blake Corum doesn't get drafted until day 3. I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
I don't hate a no running back going until maybe the very end. Maybe the end of it.
There may not be I think the Cowboys go Jonathan Brooks in round 2 if he's there.
Like that could be a pick there, but it just feels like there's no this guy is not going to make it out of the top 2 rounds.
Yeah.
There's no bona fide this guy has to get drafted early.
AFX says Stetson Bennett's returns. I was kind of thinking that what happened to him.
I don't know.
I want to know what's the story. I want the drama. I want the tea.
Well, for those of us in the room who don't know, obviously not me.
He was put on the
roster.
He was on the non-football injury list last year. He had some personal matters that the Rams never shared.
Interesting.
And they signed Jimmy Garoppolo to be their backup.
Yeah, I did see that.
So it doesn't really seem like they have a ton of confidence that he'll be ready to play football this year. I don't know what happened. I don't think it's anything very legal pressing because it would have come out by now.
AFX says he thinks he went to rehab.
That may be the case, AFX, and that kind of seems like a plausible outcome. Rehab's not that long. Rehab's not a year. Rehab is 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's a while. 3 weeks ago, Stetson Football is taking football one day at a time, and he's taking it very seriously.
I want to know. I want
a
story.
Article about Stetson Bennett trade destination.
Who the hell would trade for a rehab guy? Okay. Are we all caught up on Super Chats? I don't know if we got any during that portion of the show. Greasy Flight is here. Ray Bidding is here. We got all the usual suspects. Ken G in the house. Let's go Browns. Ken, let's go Brownies, dude. Thank you for supporting the show. I can't wait for football. I'll tell you what my fear is right now.
Not preseason, regular season.
I'm afraid how excited I am for the draft because once the draft goes, like the next stop is training camp, which is fun, but it's a long wait. And it's not football. Don't be fooled. Football starts when?
OTAs does not mean football is back.
Nope.
Preseason.
Does not mean football is back.
What about the Hall of Fame game?
Does not mean football is back.
But what about practices?
Nope.
Training camp?
Football's not even back week 0 of college football. It is back Thursday of NFL week 1.
Yes, sir.
That is when everyone's like, oh shit, we got
It's
football.
going.
No one is doing that for Illinois, Western Kentucky in week 0.
Nope.
No.
No.
They act like they're super excited, and then like most people don't watch that game at all.
I mean, I'm super pumped up for the Rutgers, Coastal Carolina, week 0 matchup too, but that's not real.
Yeah.
That's not real football.
All right, let's jump into a Browns mock draft with trades. I'm excited for this. You excited? Okay.
No, I'm not excited. I'm ecstatic.
He's ecstatic. I love it. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I want to make here. Can you get some shout outs? I want to make one change.
Hey, really quick, I need everyone to show some love to their favorite Browns player on the roster right now. Let us know. Who's your favorite player? Because we're going to start talking about the draft. And I know that there's some chatter about a lot of people think that the running back might be a position in need. And I know a lot of people love Nick Chubb. AFX says his favorite is Cade York. Keep letting us know. I want to know who your favorite player is on the roster for the Browns, baby, for the Browns. Let me know. Nick Chubb from Edwin. JOK from Marcus. Good answer. Really good answer. Miles Garrett from Austin. Herman says Deshaun Watson. Miles Garrett from Joshua Miller. I think I love Miles Garrett. Ty Man saying Joe Flacco. He's not on the roster, unfortunately. Amari Cooper from Brad. Denzel Ward from AFX. That's a good one. That's a really good one. And to answer your question, AFX, tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Is he tuning in?
Yes. Ray!
What a man.
Ray Bidding!
Ray Bidding the super chat? Is that what I'm seeing?
Quick little super chat from
Ooh,
our guy, Ray.
Ray, get out of town.
Any word on the game in Brazil? Have you seen any chatter about this Brazil game?
So
or no?
all I can say, Ray, is the Brazil opponent was rumored to be announced like 2 weeks ago. And then they never made an announcement. So I don't really know what happened. Like, that was kind of the buzz at the NFL owners meeting is as soon as Thursday or Friday, we may know. And then we did not find out. So I don't really know what happened, Ray. I'm wondering the same thing, too. Like, I was thinking about it today. Announcement, I guess, could come at like any moment.
Yes.
Just an ESPN Adam Schefter tweet. It will be the Eagles, and it's either Browns or Packers. So we'll have to wait and see. Ray. But no, I've got no further updates at this time. Please check back later. Are we ready to jump into it?
Yeah, we can hop on in, baby.
All right, let's do it, my friend.
Let me get you set up.
All right, we're going to do a mock draft with trades. Everyone loves a mock draft with trades. And then some draft rumors. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns Report. On today's show, I want to run through a 7-round mock draft, this time with trades as it is draft month. Probably got 1 to 2 more mock drafts in me before the big draft goes down on April 25th. But let's just kind of remind everyone about what picks the Browns have to work with in this year's draft. After trading a 5th and a 6th for Jerry Jeudy, they have 5 picks remaining. 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and a 7th. So they don't have a ton, or 2 6, I believe, at the end here, actually. Regardless, they don't have a ton of ammunition to work with. Now, when I started this mock draft off, I was banking on getting Edgerrin Cooper at pick 54. Fortunately, he went to the Rams at pick 52. I think we do have to remind ourselves your favorite player may not be available at pick 54. I think often people lose sight of that when they start coming at each other's throats saying, how did you take this guy? How did you not take that guy? Sometimes your guy's not there. There are 31 other teams picking. So, with Edgerrin Cooper off the board, I decided to make a little bit of a trade. So I gave the New England Patriots a call and traded pick 54 for pick 68 in the draft. And in exchange for falling back from 54 to 68, picked up a future third-round draft pick. I don't feel like this draft class is uberly loaded, and I don't think the Browns need a lot of draft picks in this year's draft anyway. Whereas if you can pick up an extra day 2 pick for next year, right now it may not feel like the best trade in the world, but fast forward a year and you're going to be really happy when the Browns are back in rounds 1, have a second and 2 third-round picks. So with Cleveland waiting until pick 68, it kind of reminded me of a trade they made 2 years ago, where they also traded back to, ironically enough, pick 68 as well with the Houston Texans, who jumped up from 68 to 44, and the Browns acquired 2 extra fourth-round draft picks in the process. So, with that being said, after moving back to pick 68 with the Patriots so they could go get an offensive tackle to protect their quarterback of the future, in round number 3, I went wide receiver Malachi Corley. I am heavily zeroing in on the Western Kentucky Hilltopper. I feel like he is not only a really special player, he plays a lot tougher than his size might indicate. I think he is not only a really talented and good football player, I also think he fits the Browns' mold for draft picks. What did Andrew Berry share with us a few years ago? They target players with horse traits, right? I love that analogy because a duck can swim, kind of waddle / run, and kind of fly, but not very well. But a horse can't fly, can't swim, but damn it, it can run. And the Browns are looking for guys who've got a trait to their game that stands out, not just surface level across the board. And Malachi Corley, he stands out in yards after the catch. Don't believe me? Look at his yards after the catch compared to some of the top receivers in this draft. More than Malik Neighbors, more than Rome Odunze, more than Marvin Harrison. And I'm not saying you have to be yards after the catch king to be a good wide receiver. You can make your money at that position in a multitude of ways. But there should be no doubt that Malachi Corley is a yards after catch monster. And when you look at the Browns wide receiver room, they don't really have that guy, right? Amari Cooper last year, 271 yards after the catch. That ranks 75th. Think about it. He had 1,200 yards and only finished 75th in yards after the catch. Jerry Jeudy, little over half of his yards after the catch, 54th. The better of the two. So the Browns definitely have room to grow at that spot. So I'm not trying to draft another wide receiver that runs the same kind of routes of the receivers already on this team, right? A yak monster is the only thing missing from this Browns wide receiver room, which is why I think Malachi Corley would be a great pick for Cleveland, because in other spots and other teams, he would probably be asked to do more that he's really capable of. And then he might not flourish all that well. But in Cleveland, they're not going to ask him to do a lot more than that. I think Malachi Corley in his rookie season will have a pretty small and limited role. But when his number is called, he's going to make some big plays. He's going to go on wide receiver screens and turn 3rd and 8s into 1st and 10s. And like I've been saying, this wide receiver room for Cleveland, it's pretty jam-packed. There's not a lot of space. Cooper, Jeudy, Moore, Tillman, and I'll say David Bell, I know, hot take, are all locks to make this roster. So your average Joe may feel like the Browns desperately need another wide receiver. I don't think they need another wide receiver. I think they need a different type of wide receiver than what they already have. And none of those 5 guys I just mentioned really excel when they get the ball in their hands. They do a great job leading up to the catch, and they still do a good job after, but not to the effect of Corley, which is why I was very pleased to see him available in round number 3, because other teams will probably overlook him because he's a bit of a one-trick pony. He went to a non-Power 5 school, and they'll look at other players. For Cleveland, that's great. They only need one trick left in the wide receiver room, and that's what Corley does best. So do you want to pick Malachi Corley? Yes or no? Give me your honest opinion in the comments section below. All right, moving on to round number 3, pick 85 in this mock draft. I go running back out of Tennessee, Jaylen Wright. Very excited to see Wright available at this spot here. 137 carries last year for the Volunteers, 1,100 yards, 7.4 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. Look at the average for a moment. I think I just casually said 7.4 yards a carry. That is a ridiculous number. He's 5'10", 210 pounds. He ran a sub 4.4 40-yard dash, finished second in the FBS last year with that 7.4 yards per carry. He is a home run machine. He is a player that thrives when they get into open space. Think about the Browns running back room last year. Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, the moment they got into open space, they were quick to be tackled. Jaylen Wright's got that getaway speed, right? He's got that separation element to his game where when he turns the corner, you're not catching him. And they really need that in this running back room. I mean, until Nick Chubb returns, I'm looking at Jerome Ford and Deontay Foreman on this depth chart, and neither player really stands out in that spot. Jerome Ford is not slow. He's kind of above average-ish speed. But Jaylen Wright's got some really special speed at that spot. So I think he brings something different to this running back room. And the Browns running back room needs speed. I mean, let's just say Nick Chubb is back week 4 or week 5. Okay. Get Nick Chubb, who we know is just going to do everything awesome. You get Jaylen Wright for some speed element paired with Chubb, and that's a 1-2 punch no AFC North team wants to face once those two get rolling. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's mock draft, I do want to plug this awesome deal going on with our friends over at Fanatics. I thought this Browns hat was just really cool, to be honest with you guys. I love the curveness of it, the Cleveland Browns. I thought it was an awesome hat, and I just wanted to share it with you guys because if you think it's awesome and you want it to add to your closet, go to chatsports.com/Browns hat. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. Get it today because these sales, they kind of come and go on Fanatics, and I don't want you to miss out on this awesome deal. Moving on to round 5, I go Ohio State linebacker Tommy Eichenberg, a Cleveland native, and we know the Browns have a bit of an affinity for drafting Buckeyes, right? We've seen them do it for a few straight years now, whether it's Luke Whippler last year, whether it's UDFA signing Ronnie Hickman. There seems to be DeJuan Jones, an express from Columbus to Cleveland. So let's just repeat history here and take the violent, mean, tough SOB linebacker from the Buckeyes. Now, the con I've got for Eichenberg, he's not a big playmaker. Like, he's going to fill up the stat sheet with his tackles, but he's not going to stand out, whether it's in pass rush or in coverage abilities. In his career with the Columbus Blue Jackets, with the Ohio State Buckeyes in Columbus, 82 tackles a season ago, 2.5 tackles for loss. The year before is really when he broke out, right? 120 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. So we saw that type of production in his third season with the Bucs. Then we saw a bit of a drop-off in 2023. So the question becomes, can he get back to that 2023 form? And I think that's why he falls to round 3 of the draft. If he played the same way he played in 2022 and 2023, no shot he's available in round number 5. But because there was that dip, I think he could slip a little bit, and maybe the Browns find a bit of a hidden gem. I wish I could have gotten Edgerrin Cooper in round number 2, but once he was taken, I didn't want to just force a linebacker pick. I'm not going to have the Browns reach on a linebacker when this linebacker class isn't all that touted. It's not all that great. I like Edgerrin Cooper. Peyton Wilson has some really nice upside to his game. Junior Colson from Michigan is a really nice run stopper, but none of these guys have that extra high gear to make them a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker in this league. So when my number 1 guy, Cooper, was gone, I was happy to trade back still get a really good player, Malachi Corley and Jaylen Wright, pick up a future draft pick, and we wait to address linebacker until day 3. Now, what do you think the Browns' biggest need is going into the draft? I think it's linebacker. I think if there is one position on the field right now that even has somewhat of a roster competition, it is linebacker. I think every other spot is pretty much sewn up, but Devin Bush at outside linebacker for this team is the one spot where you could have a rookie push him for that starting job. Moving on to round number 6, I'm going to go with Tanner McLachlan, the tight end out of Arizona, a Canadian from Alberta. So we are in the day 3 territory where we are all learning new names together. He's 6'5", 244 pounds, so below-ish average size, like good height for a tight end. It's a good target to throw to. The weight is a bit of a concern when it comes to being able to block NFL defensive linemen. At 244 pounds, if you're on the offensive line at that spot, at that weight, it's going to be a little tough. But you talk to any Arizona fan about their tight end, Tanner, the thing that they all mention, the thing that just keeps coming up over and over again is he's going to outwork you. He's going to bring effort on every single play, and he's going to be the last guy in, or first guy in, last guy out, as I butchered that, type of guy in the locker room. And in day 3 of the draft, I'm looking for good characters, right? I'm looking for guys that, sure, may not have the best physical traits, but let's be honest, if they did, they wouldn't be available at that spot. So I want just high IQ, high-level players that I think could step into this locker room and work their tail off for a roster spot. Those are the day 3 players I have found to be some of the most successful in the NFL. Guys that, with a chip on their shoulder and a great work ethic, always put themselves in a spot where they could at least compete. And then you add in the fact that, the Browns do need some help at tight end. Jordan Akins didn't show us a ton last year. Giovanni Ricci is more of a fullback than a tight end in my eyes. So adding another tight end in the draft just seems like a little bit of a no-brainer to me. And then to round out this mock draft, I'm going to go with a Kansas State offensive lineman, KT Leveston. I think when you look at the Browns' just overall offensive line, they don't desperately need help at that spot, right? They made a couple of signings already. But I think when you look ahead to 2025, well, we talked about this a few times on the show, but for any new viewers, Wyatt Teller, Joel Petonio, next year have cap hits of over $21 million. There's a good chance the Browns maybe move on from one of these two players as they get a little bit older and they get a little bit more expensive. An offensive guard play, while it's important, don't get me wrong, you can find some good replacements later in the draft, right? Neither one of these guys were first-round draft picks after all. So I think for the Browns, they may start to think a little bit ahead and, throw a dart at an offensive guard and see, all right, if one of those two players kind of regresses or the injuries start piling up and we need to save some cap space, we'd rather have a seed growing from last year's draft than to take a guy in the 2025 NFL draft in round 5 that we are going to toss into the starting job. The offensive line, it's set. All 5 starters. I guess you could make, have a debate about Dwan Jones, Conklin, and Wills, but on the interior, it's Petonio, Posick, and Teller, and there's really no question about it. They brought back Michael Dunn. You've got Luke Whippler, so this isn't even so much about a depth need for the Browns, but rather just I've got a feeling that maybe the Browns are going to want a future guard in 2025, and maybe they go get one in this year's draft. All right, let's just revisit the picks I made for the Browns. So after trading out of pick 54 and acquiring pick 68 for the Patriots and a future third-round pick from New England, Malachi Corley was my selection. Then I went Jaylen Wright, running back out of Tennessee, Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker from Ohio State, Tanner McLachlan, the Arizona tight end, and then Kansas State guard KT Leveston. So grade my mock draft for me. Give me your worst, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm thinking I get like a B grade, right? I didn't necessarily find anyone that's going to be a day 1 starter, but when you don't pick till 68, you're not really expecting to do that. And even if you were picking at 54, it's unlikely you do that. So I'd give myself a B grade. But let me know what grade you'd give my mock draft. All right, let's pick a card to wrap up the show. Mr. Trace.
I'm going to roll with the 6 of clubs.
6 of clubs?
6 of clubs.
I'm going to go with the 7 of diamonds.
I like it.
Yeah, it's going to keep in the same vicinity as you. All right, here we go. Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts. All right, boys and girls, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I see Ray Bidding got the Queen of Hearts correct during our live show today, which was filmed Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So coming out with us on a future edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Ray Bidding. Let's go, Ray. You got Queen of Hearts.
Oh, boy, Ray.
Ray also got the card correct when we did the Deshaun Watson jersey giveaway last preseason.
Oh, wow. Did he really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Former longtime viewer of the channel, he has just fallen off the face of the earth. Brown Tiger. That's a blast from the past for our longtime viewers. Well, loved the guy, just disappeared. Yeah. They deleted his Instagram.
Like Gamer Dude.
I wanted to DM him like, hey, I haven't seen the comment section. Like, everything okay? Mm-hmm. And I knew we had DM back and forth. It was just gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I hope he's okay.
Hope he's still out there.
Yeah. But you know what? Ray, congratulations, dude. You don't win anything other than pride, but you're going to talk about this all day. I would too.
We remember it.
I'll remember it for a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll be able to. Honestly,
actually, maybe a little bit longer. I remember when you got it during the preseason game. I think it was 10 of diamonds you got it on too.
I'm not going to lie. This is something that we're going to be talking about outside of the studio. So
good chance of that.
So that's your prize. You have real estate in our conversation.
Ray, wasn't it 10 of diamonds last preseason to get the Deshaun Watson jersey? I'm sure you remember a little bit better than I do. We're doing a mailbag next up on the show here. Hashtag Browns. Don't just leave it to Josh to ask all the best and biggest questions. No little Bean today. I don't know where he is. I keep track of you guys, though. I know where all my little ducklings are. So, hashtag Browns. If you're unable to super chat, not a problem at all. But we'd love to have your comments and thoughts and questions be a part of the show. It's more fun when I get to interact with you guys than just like standing in this room and talking to a camera on a tripod, which I know that might not seem like how it is, but like I'm looking at a Vizio TV behind it and a camera with a mini HDMI in it. So we're going to get into a live mailbag, get those questions at Lil Beam, right on cue.
Boom!
Boom, baby. Just had to call him out. Ninja Cow, I missed the whole stream. Well, you're here for the best part. You're here for the mailbag. Get a question in for Ninja. Get a question in, Ninja Cow. Come on. Rico gave me a C on my mock draft. Yeah, okay. People are always gonna hate him. Ooh, Josh, dishing out some hot takes. Are we ready to jump into the mailbag? We're all good. Okay, here we go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into a mailbag edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. It was filmed during our live show, FYI, which airs every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So coming out with us for a live show if you want to be on the next mailbag. First question comes in from the guy that I didn't understand what the fraud was in the movie The Other Guys. I've watched it 10 times. I'll never understand what David Ershon was doing with the police scaffolding. That never made any sense to me. But David asked, thoughts on signing Justin Simmons? Thoughts are, Justin Simmons is a really good football player. He leads the NFL in interceptions since he entered the league in 2016. He is one of the most underappreciated DB safeties in the league. I think Justin Simmons would make a ton of sense on just about every single roster, but maybe not the Browns. I just don't think that they really have the space for Justin Simmons, right? Justin Simmons is better than Juan Thornhill, but you already paid Juan Thornhill $7 million. You got to stand by some of the guys you gave bigger contracts to. You just extended Grant Delpit. You brought back Rodney McLeod. You've got really good young talent in Ronnie Hickman and DeAnthony Bell. I love Justin Simmons as a player, and maybe Andrew Berry will have that thought just creep into his head about we're better with Simmons than without, so why not? But to me, I think Andrew Berry feels confident about some of the signings he's already made in Thornhill, McLeod, and he's probably not going to go down that Simmons trail unless he really wants to get a 3-safety set in, or Schwartz does a lot. But outside of that, I think it's a low chance you see Justin Simmons come to Cleveland. But should the Browns sign Justin Simmons? I'll get you guys' opinion on the question here. I think Justin Simmons is a really good player, like I said, and if the Browns sign him, I won't be upset about it by any means. But to me, it just doesn't seem like there's a good fit for him in Cleveland. They don't have the huge need at safety. It's probably one of the rooms that they feel the most confident about. Joshua Miller, is there a running back in this year's draft that we could pick to eventually replace Chubb once he's done playing? Hate bringing it up, but had to ask. I understand. For me, I think if there is a running back to replace him, I would think Jonathan Brooks. I think that he's the only running back in this draft class I think could have a role like Nick Chubb, where he could be a 3-down back, right? Another name, I wouldn't say replace, but Jaylen Wright, I think, has a really good shot of being a good player in this league. I think Jaylen Wright has a high ceiling. We have seen at Tennessee, he's an explosive playmaker, 7.4 yards a carry. That is not something you do just on a whim. So I think Jonathan Brooks would have the best chance of eventually becoming a true 3-down running back like Chubb is. But to be honest with you, no, I don't think there is a running back anywhere near Nick Chubb's potential in this draft class. Kev Dawg, next one up. Would you be scared if Pittsburgh traded for that JJ? Justin Jefferson, Kev Dawg? I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson because I don't think they'd be trading up to get J.J. McCarthy. So would I be scared if they went out and got Justin Jefferson? Yeah, I'd be fucking terrified. Justin Jefferson's awesome. No team wants Justin Jefferson in their division. I will say that there is a very odd stat that Justin Jefferson, when he was hurt last year, the Vikings actually won more games without him at a stretch than with him. So not really sure how that happened, but I don't think the world's going to end for the Cleveland Browns if he goes to the Steelers. But would I be scared? Hell yeah. Steelers fans would be scared if he came to the Browns too. Cool guy. Hot take. Nick Chubb comes back and starts playing like an absolute star. Ooh, cool guy. Can I add on to this take here? Double hot take. Nick Chubb wins Comeback Player of the Year. Could you imagine? You go from Joe Flacco to Nick Chubb, back-to-back Brownies winning Comeback Player of the Year. If there's a guy that can kick rehab's ass, not like the rehab you get with Charlie Sheen in Arizona, but like your knee rehab, it is Nick Chubb. It is Batman. So I like the idea of Nick Chubb coming back. Now, I also love hot takes. So if you've got a hot take for the upcoming NFL draft, get in the chat right now and let me know what your hot take is for the draft, which can you believe is just a few short weeks away. I'm pumped. All right, another question coming in from Dylan Sutcliffe. Who do we think the Browns draft? I'm guessing that's what you're meaning to ask here. So the funny thing about mock drafts, Dylan, is we spend a lot of time finding this balance of like who I would really like to take versus who I think the Browns will take. And those are very different things. I'm thinking about who in this draft class just kind of gives me Andrew Berry vibes as a draft target for them. I'm thinking, I just cannot get the name Malachi Corley out of my head. I do feel like that is someone the Browns, whether it's in round 2 or round 3, I think more of a round 3 guy, Cleveland will target. Ray Bidding, next one up. Tyler Huntley will lead the Browns to the 2024 Super Bowl. Does he take the final knee to ice the game in the AFC Championship game with the Browns up by 35? If so, Ray, I'm on board with that take. I'm also on board with our sponsor today, which is Game Time. We've got warm weather here. Baseball is back. Playoff basketball is next. Playoff hockey is afterwards. And you should not have to miss any of the action because of ticket prices. With Game Time, you can get killer last-minute deals and all-in prices for all the big events because there is nothing more frustrating than going onto a ticketing app and then getting to the checkout and realizing with all the fees and the taxes, the price is nowhere near what you thought it was going to be. But Game Time literally gives you an option on the home screen to click all-in price so you know exactly what you're actually going to be paying. It's the place to find last-minute seats. So download the app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Create an account, like I said, and when you download the Game Time app, you're going to get $20 off. Now, terms apply, but once again, create an account and redeem the code CHAT SPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I also put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Joshua Miller, next one up. How long can we realistically keep our top 3 CBs? Greg Newsome's 5th-year option decision is coming up at the beginning of May, so about a month away from now. It's going to run the Browns about a little over $13 million. I think they'll pick up that 5th-year option. If they do, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, and Denzel Ward will all be under contract for 2024 and 2025. I think they have 2 more years of this really good 3 cornerback duo or trio sticking together. Next one coming in from Lil Beam. What is your honest opinion on Malik Washington? In my opinion, the most underrated player in the draft. He's at Virginia, transferred from Northwestern. Yeah, I remember the player now. He doesn't have an extensive route tree, which I think teams are going to knock him on. But he's a big playmaker. He's got great speed. I think Malik Washington is not going to have a crazy high ceiling in this league, but I do think he's got a good shot of landing on a team and maybe elevating to a nice wide receiver 2 for a few teams over the course of his career. I think he could be the most underrated wide receiver in this draft. I don't think I'd go as far to say player, but Lil Beam, I do like the Virginia receiver Malik Washington. Joshua Miller, hot take. Deshaun Watson will not be our starter by the end of the season. That's a hot take. I don't think it's the worst take in the world. I don't think Watson has shown us through 2 years that is impossible of happening. I don't agree with it. I do think the Browns will stick with him unless he gets injured. I really don't see Kevin Stefanski benching Deshaun Watson. That just seems like a decision that Jimmy Haslam will have to sign off on. I don't see him signing off on that decision. Deb Grimsley, AB shocker, trades to mid-30s to get Edgerrin Cooper. I don't think he's going to be trading up. Maybe if he really likes Edgerrin Cooper, that's a possibility. I just don't think he's really got the ammunition to do it, right? He's got 5 picks to use. He's going to give up the current 3rd he has and pick 80 or so to move up to pick 50. That might not even be enough to get it done. So you don't have a 4th rounder to offer. You're going to give up your 3rd and your 5th to move up in round 2. Now you've got, 4 picks in the draft? Just seems a little bit unlikely in my opinion. But I do love the idea of getting Edgerrin Cooper, Deb. Joshua Miller. Deshaun Watson thrived with Will Fuller. Judy is similar size but with a different skill set. Is there a Will Fuller type receiver we could draft? What about, and it's been a little while since I watched my Will Fuller tape. I'm thinking Troy Franklin out. Hit a good 40. I'll go with Troy Franklin. I don't think he's as fast as Will Fuller. I don't have their speeds in front of me right now. But the Oregon wide receiver, Troy Franklin, I think he could be a similar comp. That's kind of my best stab at it, but maybe I'm way off base here. Josh, again, how close will Emerson's contract get to Ward's? Denzel Ward got a 5-year, $100.5 million contract that pays him $20.1 million a season. Or is that what Jair Alexander got? Whatever. Denzel Ward got a 5-year, $100 million deal. Maybe there's an extra $100,000 I forgot about. I think Martin Emerson's contract, if he continues playing at this level, it could probably get up to a 4-year average salary of $15 to $16 million. I think that's well within the range of what Martin Emerson can get. I mean, Jalen Johnson and L'Jarius Sneed just got $19 million a season. I don't think Emerson is quite at that level, although he's only played 2 years. Maybe in year 3 he'll get to that level. And if that's the case, I think it may be a little bit closer to $18 million. I don't think he's gonna break Denzel Ward's contract though. All right, to wrap up the show, we've got a pick a card episode, as we always do for the off season. Mr. Gerard, which card do you want to go with?
I'm liking The 7 of spades.
7 of spades?
7 of spades.
Okay, I'm going to go with the 3 of clubs. 5 of hearts. 5 of hearts. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone who takes time out of their day to watch our content. It means a lot more to me than you think. So if you're still watching, make sure to like the video and drop a CLE in the comment section. That way I know who the end of the video crew is. Should the Browns sign Justin Simmons? Let me know your thoughts. I love Josh's questions.
Shout out to Josh for giving us such great ideas to talk about.
If I had to power rank cities in America to have my car break down in, Temperance, Michigan would be number 1. Because I know Josh will be making dinner, and I can come probably have a bowl of chili, whatever he's cooking up that night, and he'll pick me up. Josh will pick me up. Kistner, I think, would let me ride his back to his house.
Well, and on top of that, Josh will ask you some good questions to keep the conversation
oh my
fun.
God.
It'll be a great conversation.
I would love to actually have my car break down a little bit outside of Temperance, Michigan. So I have more time in the car with the drive with Josh.
Yes.
Okay. Should the Browns sign him? Jacob says yes. Cool Guy says no. I've got Ray saying CLE. Ghostface saying 7 of hearts. We said, was it 5 of hearts? Not far off from Ghostface. Ty Man says yes. Eddie says CLE. I love it. I freaking love it. All right. That will do it for us on our live show today. Do you guys want some good trivia? Okay.
Trivia time.
Which question do I want to go with? Want to go with the last?
I'm not going to be there tonight. So
I know. The last one's a little bit like layered. Not layered, but it's got more than just one answer to it. So I'm trying to think of another one. I've got a good one. What company ran a commercial featuring sharks in a focus room that graded the humans that they ate based on the candy that the humans had previously eaten before getting eaten?
Is it like a Haribo or something? Or like
no, you're close. This was a commercial with sharks in a focus room. They were talking about the human. No. Talking about the humans that they ate in the ocean based on the food, the candy that the humans had eaten already.
I don't know.
This was
make me so mad when I hear it.
This was a Snickers commercial.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Of course
Snickers
it was.
commercial.
Of course it was a Snickers
commercial. Oh, did you guys see what honey ham? I loved scalloped potatoes, green beans and biscuits. I may just like fake a car breakdown in Southeast Michigan.
Uber right now to Josh's house.
I've got leftover barbecue tonight. I'm very excited for it.
Not bad
at all.
Slate at all.
I had a friend come in town last weekend and took him to a barbecue spot and did like the platter, get a hold of everything.
Yes.
So I've got, and I'll tell you what, I always think that barbecue chicken and turkey is kind of one of the more boring options to get. This was some damn good chicken and turkey.
See, if you can have really good barbecue, like it's great.
So I've got some of that waiting for me and some like cheddar sausage.
Cut some of that, make a little sandwich or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that will do it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You're the best. We got draft content heating up, so we'll see you all throughout the next few weeks.